Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. Welcome, family, to another wonderful, entertaining, edutainment edition of We All Be News-Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the Artivist. And it's been an interesting week, like Wednesday right now. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and we are bracing for a some type of whirlwind, tornado, high winds, and all this other stuff. Power has already been knocked out in certain parts of Memphis, including my part. I'm in downtown near the site of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the crucifixion martyr site of that. But power has been knocked out in certain parts of Memphis. They are expecting winds up to 25 to 30 miles per hour, even up to 60 miles per hour, what I'm told. So we are bracing for whatever is going to come, because there's no such thing as normal. Normal does not exist in the English vocabulary anymore. There's no such thing as normalcy. It is what it is in 2022. So hopefully we can keep the power on for this show. It's a very important show. We got the return of the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, the people's champ, people's favorite advocate for truth and for manhood, and also for womanhood. And we also got a special guest, the Honorable Sister Vice Mayor Virginia Rivers of Mason, Tennessee. She's going to provide us a little bit of an update, and also chat with the judge during this hour. So hopefully the judge can come on. I know that he's in an area where there have been issues with power sometimes when it comes to inclement weather, but hopefully he could get us on. I don't know if the judge is in Memphis right now. Judge is always moving around, but he's excited about doing the show. And I know he have his issues with the StreamYard platform as it relates to whatever he's trying to do, set up, but I know he'll be on. We keep the faith, baby, and We All Be. But without further ado, I want to bring on Sister, the Honorable Vice Mayor of Mason, Tennessee, the one and only Sister Virginia Rivers. How you doing, sister?
Fine. How are you?
I'm all right. Just bracing for whatever's going to come.
Yeah.
I know they let school out early here and stuff like that. How y'all doing in Mason?
We're doing all right. They let the schools out early here as well.
Oh, wow. So I don't know what to expect, man. It's like it's Old Testament stuff going on right now.
Well, you never know what the Lord gonna do.
And also, I understand you're a minister as well, too. You're anointed.
Yes, sir. I'm a minister.
Yeah, so it was an honor to meet you this past weekend as people was canvassing the neighborhood to try to alert the folks about what was going on with the issue of Mason, Tennessee, the state takeover of Mason, Tennessee. I know y'all been having it out with Jason Mumpower, the comptroller of Tennessee, as it relates to the city's charter, about them trying to take over your finances. I know I just uploaded a video we did over the weekend, and people are really talking about it. And you've been doing a great job as being a spokesperson for this cause and being the face of this movement. So how are you feeling today?
I feel good. I mean, in spite of what we going through, what we face with, each day I wake up thanking God and asking him just to give me the strength to stand against whatever comes up, comes my way.
So have there been any updates since the weekend? Like, have y'all met with anybody, state representatives, or anything like that, officials?
We haven't met with them, but we have received a letter from Mumpower office stating that pretty much everything is still the same in the previous letter, except for the amount they want us to pay. At first, it was $22,134 per month. They want us to pay that up front before we paid anything. Well, they have reduced it after verifying our numbers and realizing that we were had been paying on the debt and had gotten it down lower than they had posted. They decided to go ahead and lower it to 9,000. One is 9,654 a month, which
Okay.
still has to be paid up front before we can pay any bill. And the way they really got it structured, as far as their demands on the town, requiring that nothing can be purchased or paid, whether either way, for any amount that's over $100. Um, is still there. We can't apply for grants unless, and of course, they approve it. So, with that being said, it's like they still are trying to, physically, they are trying to dominate us as far as keeping us under their power. So it to me, it's like setting us up to fall. Uh, because if you're making the kind of demands on us and then telling us that we can't make purchases or anything of that nature
Mhm.
unless we get contact them, or and they approve it. Of course, they apply phone numbers to our CMFO in case we do emergency we have to call. But they're like today, what if, God forbid, a disaster happened? They
Mhm.
want us to call them before we react or before we do anything. That's not how you do business. That's not how we need to be able to function. We need to be able to handle whatever the town needs, whatever arises. Because at the and again, I said it before and I'll say it again, it's like they're setting us up in a position that they hope we will fail.
Okay. And have no fear, I guess, because Judge Joe Brown is here. Hey, Judge, how you doing?
All right. How's everyone today?
Fine. How are you, Judge?
Oh
No,
man,
we bracing for something spectacular, I guess, or monstrosity. I don't know, man. The weather's crazy.
if you check to see who is investing in or purchasing land or attempting to get zoning variances in the land between where Mason is and where this Ford factory is going to be,
We already know that it's the county mayor, Jeff Huffman, who has already purchased.
550 acres, is it?
It's over 300. I know it's somewhere between 300 and 500 acres,
Mm.
and
Okay.
between
Well,
Mason
I
and the
would
Blue Oval.
suggest that you go a little deeper. See what's going on is we have some
Well,
developers
he's
around
not
here
only
in the
the
Memphis area.
he's not only the
I
county
know,
mayor.
but I'm just saying, go a little. I know who he is. I'm giving you some clues as to something to look for.
Mhm.
I've done some research on it because I'm running for mayor of Memphis in 2023. So there are some developers in the Memphis area that actively opposed putting the Ford plant in Memphis. Why? Because the price per acre of land to either lease or acquire and have fee simple absolute in it is a lot more expensive in Memphis than it is where are in Mason. They are angling to get the contracts to actually do the construction on the plant. And more important than the plant is the fact that if they bring in 27,500 employees, as Ford is talking about, on average, 2 out of every 3 of those employees are going to have a family situation. So that's going to be 3 to 4 people, maybe 5 people for families, which means that you're going to have a town built centered on Mason that's going to accommodate between 50 and 100,000 people. In other words, it's going to be bigger than Jackson, Tennessee, and built in about 5 years, and that's going to be billions of dollars into the usual suspects we pockets that we have here in Memphis, which is why they want it up there. Mason is an outlet for sewage and water in the area. So rather than having to duplicate that, they want to take the geographical location of Mason, and it's already interesting position relative to infrastructure so they can develop it on the cheap. But do you know how much money is involved when you're talking about building Jackson, Tennessee in 5 years where you are, and they want to run you people out of political control? See, where you sit is going to be where there is a very deep pocket, which is going to produce enormous property tax revenues. It's going to produce enormous amounts of corporate income tax, of which local areas get a share. So not only are they trying to usurp your political control, they're trying to situate themselves where they can be ideally situated for development. Now, the mayor you're talking about, who's bought anywhere from 300 to 550 acres of land to be developed, is already in negotiation with these people about coming in and dealing with it. And Brother Ron, you and I have talked about who those suspects are. They're into real estate acquisition, real estate management, real estate development, construction, and construction material supply. So they want to get in control of some real property. Then they're going to try and get the governmental entity to subsidize the corporate entity, which in this case is Ford, by saying, we're so happy to have all of these job opportunities in Tennessee that we will help you pay for this. So they get money dumped in their pockets from Ford and the Tennessee government, and perhaps from your county, so that they get paid for building this addition to your area, a new town, a city, and the factory, and they will get to operate it. And you see, when you build a factory, that's one thing. 27,500 people, that's a whole different order of business. And when you get 27,500 people, and you talk about Kroger, Walgreens, Whole Foods, CVS, movie theaters, Burger King, Mickey D's, Wendy's, or this, that, and the other pizza place, and all it takes to deal with that, you're talking 50 to 100,000 people. And just imagine what the typical house is going for here in West Tennessee that's going to accommodate 4 people who are making not $5 an hour, not $15 an hour, but upscale. And they're going to want someplace to bring workers in from outside the state, because they are not thinking about hiring folk from Memphis who have a 45-minute drive up there. There's no traffic, probably an hour and a half realistically. Will they move there? Maybe, but they still have to be accommodated. So that's what is being done to you up there. And all of this other stuff is just your typical machination that you, if you examine what's been going on in Memphis and Shelby County for the last 60 years, 50 years, you'll see it. Now, you people, please keep political control, because you sit on what could be a mecca in about 25 to 30 years. You see, in 20 years, the Census Bureau of the United States is predicting that there will no longer be a majority ethnic or racial group in America. Black folk won't be the biggest minority. It'll be the Hispanics, which are broken down actually into other ethnic groups besides speaking Spanish, and our old allies and old enemies, white folk. Now, I have a good Hispanic tailor who is from Argentina. She's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and her parents are from Takeover Deutschland, yeah? And one of them was a good German during World War II. Now, that being the case, she's also classified as Hispanic, like my late stepmother, who was Filipino, Catholic, and Asian, and she's classified as Hispanic. So they've got this artificial group based on language that is being classified as an ethnic group. And frankly, I don't trust the U.S. government when it comes to that. I think they've got nefarious motives, but we're going to have a problem. Now, with Mason being where it is, Memphis being where it is, you are going to have this Ford plant, which is going to have 27,500 employees, according to the Ford site. Cadillac has opened up one in West Tennessee. Beretta opened up a factory. They're moving their manufacturing from Massachusetts down here, and they will be making 76 millimeter cannon for the Navy. They are still making their line of pistols, and they have some other things that they make that they sell around the world. They are, in fact, the oldest firearms manufacturing business in the world. They've been open over 500 some years. So they are coming down here. Now, the interesting thing is that Memphis is the distribution capital of the world. Not the world, of the United States and of Canada and of Mexico. And all of these electric cars that Cadillac and Ford are going to be making will pass through Mason on the way down I-40 to get to Memphis. And if these clowns here get straightened out, you will have barge traffic going in reverse. But President's Island has the world's largest barge unloading facility. And in Europe, they load these barges up. They put them on ocean-going barge transports. They come over to the port of New Orleans, drop the rear hatch, float the barges out, get them a tow, bring them up to Memphis. And when they get them unloaded in President's Island, that's when they first run them through customs. Now, essentially, those barges go back downriver unloaded. So what some people have anticipated that Memphis is not getting in on top of is that those barges could be loaded with these vehicles made at Ford and Cadillac and brought back down, shipped over to Europe. Some of them unloaded in the Mediterranean. Some of them stay on these barge transports, go through the Suez Canal and get into Asia. Now, Ford and Cadillac are attempting to get in on the ground floor with electric vehicles. And that would require an increase in infrastructure of charging stations and all of that. The governor of the state of Tennessee has a huge financial investment in a firm that is supplying a lot of the parts that will be used by Ford for their batteries. So there is a cabal that goes from top to bottom in probably the most corrupt state in the United States when it comes to these things, to get in on the ground floor of these kind of deals where they can hustle the taxpayers' money. Right now, you ought to be pushing in Mason to put in a campus for UT, because UT is getting a federal grant that is being matched by Ford to take the students out of high school. The ones that are coming out this year, this spring, will be in these STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, and math, for about 4.5 years, which is just about when this plant's going to start kicking over into its initial production phase. So we are not getting any black students recruited because they've already started it. And see, somebody, and wow, did I get cut off, or I'm still on? Somebody
right
tried
now.
to call. But
You're
anyway,
out. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah.
You can hear me. I can't hear you guys anymore, but let's see what happens. See, these are the things that we have to take into consideration. And that's the Turleys, the Belts, Fogelmans, and so forth down here. Check and see if they're trying to get up there, because from what I'm hearing down here, they are.
Well, Judge,
and that means that you're going to get a lot of your local people are going to get, what is in it for me. And it ought to be something in for the whole group of people.
Judge.
Now,
hello?
that's what I think is about to happen where you live, and what you're sitting on is a great opportunity or as a moment of a great ripoff.
Judge, can you hear us? Can you hear now?
So look into those things. They have to make disclosures someplace. I'm retired. I'm an old man. You know, I'm everybody's granddaddy. I'm in my mid-70s. So, you know, I don't get paid for this. Don't need to. But, you know, it is what it is. So I'm just saying I've seen this before. I studied it years ago at UCLA in their political science department. And it is one of those things that we have to be cognizant of.
The judge.
Now I can't hear anybody.
Okay, well,
I can see your lips moving.
Wait, we're gonna do something right quick. Let me see.
Okay.
Judge, can you hear now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
I don't hear you.
You can't hear us?
I'm all the way up on the sound.
Okay, let me see something. Oh man, this is interesting. I know it's weather be crazy, but there's a lot of good information Judge putting out here. Let me see. Hey, Judge. Let me see something.
You can hear me.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, but you can't.
But
hear
I
us.
can't hear you.
Okay, you can hear me.
I have no sound.
You have no sound. You want to take out your earphones? You take out your headphones. Take off your headphones. Take off your headphones.
I can't read lips too well, so.
Okay.
I mean, but this is my microphone. That's how I'm talking to you.
In the microphone and the headphones?
Somebody's saying here, Dana, I do a show with, she says, drop out and come back in. Let me try that to see if I can get back on.
Okay, that's great.
That might be the best way to do it.
Thank you, Sister Dana. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll give Judge about, but yeah, you time to talk. But what Judge keep on saying, I want to tell Judge, this is not just a factory. This is they building Detroit 2.0 down here. It's Detroit. I actually went down to that site. I took the long way around to Stanton. And like, they building like a city. It's not Jack. They building Detroit. They're trying to get what they got wrong with Detroit right down here. But my problem is, I don't feel like nobody of color, black people, ain't gonna benefit from all these billions of dollars coming in. It's not gonna be directed towards us, and it's quite possible they could take y'all off the map and just expand. That's why I'm looking, because I went down there. It was crazy to see all that land. They cleared all those trees. They got the multi-million-dollar machines clearing the land. And I went all the way to as far as I could go. And I was coming back up the road. This scary white man in the pickup truck came out and said, "What, you got a problem?" I said, "I don't got no problem getting the hell out of here. I'm going. I mean, I'm going back this way, dude. I ain't trying to go. I already went to the end of the road. I'm coming back around." But it's like, let me see, we put Judge back in.
I'm back in. I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to tell you something, Judge. You keep on saying factory. Like you said, Jackson, they're building Detroit down there. I was down there on that site on Saturday, and they clearing so much land. They trying to build Detroit. And also, they got a battery factory connected to it.
That governor has a heavy investment in
it's two governors, though. I mean, but there's nobody, Judge.
I'm talking about the governor of the state of Tennessee.
And also Kentucky, too. Because
Kentucky,
the battery
got an investment in there,
Yeah, but here's the thing, Judge. I want to tell you this, because this is why it's so important that we need people like you to be advocates in the office. There are no black politicians in West Tennessee standing by Mason, Tennessee. I'm talking about in the state level. They have no friends in the state level, no friends at the federal level. Because I mean, they can eminent domain this Mason, Tennessee. They can literally wipe Mason, Tennessee out the map, and all the billions of dollars coming in ain't gonna benefit black folk because there's no advocacy.
See, this is what the deal is. The Black Caucus for Tennessee did do something useful. 11 o'clock one evening last week, they got the comptroller to acknowledge that the charter did not come through the comptroller's office, but came through the state legislature. So the comptroller is running off his ignorant mouth talking about he's going to surrender. What they were trying to do to Mason is to get Mason to pay off the debt, then seize the charter and leave them with no political control. That is, when black folk get political control, then you either co-opt them or you disenfranchise their control. They become part of another unit of which they are a minority. Now, yes, I agree with you. They're trying to do a Detroit, because remember, Detroit is part of the Rust Belt now. Most of the cars they build in Michigan are built up in Lansing. And the weather's a lot better down here, a lot warmer. It doesn't get freezing cold like it does up in Lansing. And this is a new technology. They're trying to establish a world market. They want to get into Asia, China. They want to get into some other places, and they're trying to cook up a deal with China about battery technology. So you're right about this being the start of a Detroit, but the point I'm making is, as a minimum, to run this factory, they're going to have a town that has about 100,000 people in it within 5 years. Now, with all of that infrastructure that they're building, who do you think are bringing into billions of dollars, raking into billions of dollars they get paid for building it? It's not going to be a construction company brought in from Michigan. It's not going to be one from Ohio. It's going to be our local usual suspects who've been ripping off the people in this county, Shelby, this city, Memphis, for a long time.
That's right.
Now, that's what's happening. Think all the movie studios and the fast food places and all this other stuff. Think of all the road infrastructure. Think of the roads that have to be wide. Tennessee law says when you have a development over a certain size, you have to have a minimum width on your streets that are the primary avenues of ingress to the area. What's supposed to happen is the developer is supposed to pay for that widening and donate any real property he has. But what the trick is you get the local governance to exercise eminent domain, pay the developer instead of the developer paying it, pay him to build it instead of him building it out of his own pocket. And then some small percentage is supposed to go back to the municipality that sounds good, 4-6%, but the accountants zero out the net, so there's nothing. So you get them coming in, and then watch when some clown comes up saying they're paying for this. They're getting $1 up front for the franchise to operate it for the township.
All right.
See, and they want that sewage input there in Mason, and they want that water outlet, because they'd have to do some expensive groundwork to install that, so they already have it. They want to divest you guys of control of that resource. So it's nothing but a ripoff.
But Judge, is like
our black
the law.
Elected officials need to do something about that.
They not doing it. Miss Virginia Rivers is a profiles in courage. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you this. Like, I talked to Mayor Gooden, Emmett Gooden, and he was saying this could be a good deal for everybody, but these folks are so damn greedy that the kids, like, they get trained in STEM, right? He said coming out of high school, they could be making as much as 70 to 80,000 a year, but it's not gonna benefit our kids.
They can make more than that.
Kids behind. But I want to
make more than that.
Yeah, but I'm talking like it's gonna benefit the black kids though, because there's nobody that advocates for our children. We leave them behind, and that's a problem. But I want to get Miss Rivers' take on stuff. I mean, she's on the ground, and I'm saying Ford are a bunch of. Ford came up dirty. You know, they had to play dirty up in Detroit. They don't play nice. So we got people like Miss Virginia Rivers. She's a beautiful spirit. She's a minister. She's a public servant. You're going against a Goliath. These folks don't play fair. These folks are dirty. You know this, Judge. I mean, they're gangster.
They don't. Go ahead. They don't. But I don't even think Ford was too much aware of what's going on the local politics. See, you remember that movie, Walking Tall? Not the one with The Rock.
Yeah,
it was a comedy, but the one about Buford Pusser. You know who the villain was?
Who?
Governor Ray Blanton. He was the one that was behind the bootleg racket, the gambling racket, the drug rackets, and the prostitution rackets. He was part of the bunch that was screwing with banking, which is why he got the predecessor to Regions Bank. He was the one that was part of the highway rackets, where they bid on the highways so much per mile of highway using the federal standard. They underbid everybody, but they don't lose money because they don't put down the proper foundation. So our Tennessee highways, I-40, thump, the thump, the thump, the
Hey,
thump.
Winchester
You go
Lamar.
down, yeah, well, you go down, well, yeah, but you go down I-55, thump, the thump, until you get to Mississippi border, and then it
Right.
goes, zzz.
Yep.
Somebody needs to sink some boreholes and see if these characters put down the proper foundation or whether they have been engaged in a concealed fraud.
Right.
I mean, but see, that's where the crookedness comes in. Look at your governor, lieutenant governor for years, Wilder.
Right.
Wilder, see, back in the early 80s, 81, 82, the law office I was in had a contract with a congressional committee to study the issue of air property loss. Wilder, the lieutenant governor of the state, was one of the main people who was engaging in this fraud. They would look up black folk in Detroit, Pennsylvania, Chicago, and say, look, your grandfather left this to the whole family. Would you be willing to sell your interest as a tenant in common? Sure. How much? We'll give you $10,000. Yeah, man, hell. And they get $10,000, and then that gives the new tenant in common, this corporate entity, the standing to go into court and divest the whole damn family of the interest. See? Now, I mean, so you can't trust any of these people. And when they had that sting operation, remember Tennessee Waltz?
Right.
It wasn't just black folk that got caught up in that. So it's crooked. And see, people are moving to Tennessee because actually Tennessee has no individual income tax. And I'll tell you something else you need to understand to get the big picture. What state of the union is number 4 in per capita millionaires? It goes New York, California, Florida, and what's the 4th state?
Texas.
Tennessee.
Okay. That's interesting. Wow. Okay.
So you've got number 4 in the nation out of 50 states in per capita millionaires located right here. You know what it looks like when you drive in East Memphis or Germantown.
But Memphis
or
so poor though. It's
Colleyville.
one of the poorest cities in the country. But Fred Smith, the billionaire,
No,
lives
it's
in Memphis.
not. No,
Right,
it's not.
right.
No, it's not. One half of Memphis is one of the brokest in the United States, and the other half has one of the highest per capita incomes in the United States of America.
Exactly.
See, look at what's happening with FedEx. The ordinary managers and employees out at FedEx had to give up their bonuses 4 years ago. They haven't gotten a raise. They've been working extra hours to help out the company, and the company is reporting its largest profits in its entire history. See, that's why they call it. That's why they call it the plantation.
Right.
So you've got this, and Memphis International Airport seesaws with Hong Kong International Airport is having the largest commercial tonnage export in the world.
Right.
Most people don't get it. More commercial tonnage is flown out of Memphis than any other airport in the whole world except sometimes Hong Kong.
So I want to get back to, I know Miss Rivers is on limited time. I don't want to keep her too long, but I want to get your input, Miss Rivers, like your take or what. Now, what can we do or what's the next move or whatever you want to talk about?
Tell us.
Yeah.
What can we do to help?
Well, you can, like he told, like Mr. Hurd said, you know, Judge, you can advocate for Mason or, you know, get the word out to help us to be able to do the things we need to do. As far as Ford is concerned, I've always, well, you made the statement that Ford may not have known what was going on in Mason. And that could be a possibility, but with the county mayor sitting on the board as chairman,
he's not going to tell. He has
you know,
a fiduciary duty to tell, but he's not.
Yeah, and then Ford didn't, when they came and went to the table with their decisions or whatever they were doing at the table, nobody in Mason was ever invited. Nobody was
That's
from
right.
Mason.
But
Okay.
see, the factory is not technically located in Mason.
Right.
See, that's where it comes in. It's 12 miles away. Now, here's something that might help you out. Contact the board of directors for Ford Motor Company and detail them on what's actually going on. See, a lot of few black folk buy Ford products except maybe Mustangs. Ford, F-O-R-D, found on roadside, dead or disabled. I hate Ford products. Every one I've had in my years has been a piece of junk. That's Thunderbird, Fords, SUVs, you name it, it's been junk. You couldn't give me one now. But they're trying to get into the black market, so maybe black folk need to say, if you don't do something about this, we will boycott your behind.
Well, like I said, we have things in place. Our attorneys are working on everything, and we are just gonna wait. The NAACP, they are backing us, So
Do not trust the NAACP.
wow.
I'm a life member. Don't trust them.
Why, Judge?
Okay.
Find the fattest person that you associate with the NAACP and figure out how far you can throw him or her. That's how far you can trust them.
Okay.
You can't. Now, that said, you right now are a sovereign entity, and they want to coerce you guys into surrendering your charter because they'd have to go through all sorts of changes to take it. And under the guise of, see, your situation is your township is your township is a victim of criminal activity, misappropriation, embezzlement, fraud, theft. And it's like saying in criminal law, let's make the victim pay for the damages that the felon caused. You shouldn't have to pay the cost because you didn't do it. Some criminals stole it and they should have been prosecuted. Why hasn't the local district attorney brought charges against them over the years for this obvious fraud? What does the local district attorney have in terms of an investment interest? We know the governor of this state and the governor of Kentucky have financial interest in the battery manufacturer, or one of them anyway, at least in terms of the components. We know that the mayor of the nearby county seat has bought 300 to 550 acres, which he's trying to turn into a gold mine, because guess what? This isn't going to be farmland. Again, this is going to be urban development. You see street lights, gas, cable, parking lots, restaurants, grocery stores, department stores, convenience stores, hardware stores, hospitals, pet hospitals, daycares, schools. 27,500 employees dictates a town of at least 100,000 people. Not over 10 years, not over 20, not over 50 or 100, but in 5 years. This is the kind of thing that happened when they set these communities up in World War II, when there were fewer expectations of benefits, they had these huge municipalities grow up. And remember, these people are trying to get into a worldwide market. And their chief competitor in the electric car market right now is Cadillac. But you see, Cadillac doesn't have this stench you have to hold your nose about that attaches. Now, when I said maybe Ford did not know. Now, I'm not saying that they did not. I'm just saying that when you contact the Ford board of directors, we are assuming that perhaps you did not know about this because it's not actually located in Mason. It's going to be 12 miles outside of Mason. But in terms of the developmental opportunities, certainly Ford Motor Company trying to expand its markets, not just into the Black community in the United States, but trying to expand into Africa, the Middle East, Asia, South America. Surely, where all of these people of color live, it would not want the onus of trying to wreck a Black township from getting a piece of the action. Surely you guys are not doing that. And you see, that means Ford leans on all of the rest of these people, and they sure as hell have some deep pockets. See how that goes?
Well, Joe, let me ask you this, and Miss Rivers as well. The mayor of Tipton County is named what? Jim Huffman or John Huffman?
Jeff Huffman.
Jeff Huffman. Is it possible? He's been in power for about 20 plus years. Is it possible to do some type of recall movement on him?
Yeah, we have
practices?
one, but there's never been a recall. We have a law on the books, but we've never had a recall in the history of the state of Tennessee. That's California action. I'm not saying you couldn't do it,
but based on his conflict of interest,
but it
though,
might be embarrassing.
It looks
no. Look. Here's how you get it. Just go look up Tennessee campaign finance disclosure laws are what they are. Find out who's been donating to who. Go look at it. You can find it. The net is a good thing for research aside from gossip matters. What celebrity is doing what celebrity. Look it up, and the simple act of publishing the connections could be sufficient embarrassment. What you can do is, mayor, under Tennessee law, the township of Mason is entitled to make a complaint to TBI requesting an investigation of criminal wrongdoing. Do so. And you can provide them with leads. Mayor, you are a sovereign entity. You have a direct end to being able to sue the state government without their permission. It's built into Tennessee law. Mayor, you have a right to sit in as a municipality and bring action through what ought to be a city attorney's office, but you don't have one, it seems, but you do have legal counsel. The city is entitled to bring in special counsel, special prosecutors to protect its interest. So you've got a whole panoply of things. You're small, you don't have a big budget, but you have the legal right to do these things. So you can raise hell with some people.
I mean, this little light of mine, you gotta let it shine. But also you said about the NACP, I think about Tipton County, I'm thinking about Brownsville. Brownsville is in Tipton County, correct?
No.
It's not. It's in Haywood County.
Yes. No, Brownsville's not.
Haywood County, right? Haywood. But I was thinking when I was down there on Saturday, I was thinking about Albert Williams, the first NACP officer to be killed. And it was happening in Brownsville. And they ran the family out of town. They had land, ran the family out of town, wouldn't even let his wife bury him properly. And to this day, they don't know where he's buried at. But I'm saying he was this is
Tennessee. Fine. 1962.
Yeah.
1962, original Fayette County Welfare League.
Okay.
Memphis and Shelby County, Judge Joe McCarty, Division 8, now occupied by an idiot known as Chris Kraft. Joe McCarty got the black bloc vote every time he ran. The Ford family always had him on their ballots. Joe McCarty was Grand Dragon of the KKK and chairman of the White Citizens Council.
Well, they were saying Ford, one of the Ford matriarchs was a bastard child of Mayor Crump, Boss Crump.
Yeah, no doubt. And Boss Crump got brought to Memphis to protect the part black son, a.k.a. Robert Church, of the richest plantation owner in Mississippi. And he figured out that the best way to do it is control politics. He couldn't control the white folks, so he controlled the Lincoln Republicans. Lincoln Republicans, if you go to one of their meetings, it's lily white now, but they were founded by black folk. Every black in Shelby County used to be a Republican.
Yeah, Robert Church Jr. was a very powerful national Republican too. He was recognized as a national level.
Yes.
I don't know about the Box
So
Prop.
that's how
I don't know
you.
if the Ford
That's
family
how.
brought
No,
them to Memphis though.
no, not the Ford family.
Okay.
Robert Church's rich white plantation owning daddy did. See, Robert Church's daddy lost all his legitimate sons in the Civil War. So at that point, all of his extensive properties and holdings would be with his cheat to the state of Mississippi on his death. So he was trying to give it to his son. And he even got an act passed in Tennessee, which up until the late 1920s said any person in this state with no more than 1/8 known colored ancestry may apply to a chancellor in this state for an official decree of Caucasian status. But Robert Church would not avail himself of that.
You talking about this Robert Church Sr.?
No, the one that they named the park at. I'm talking
Yeah, Robert
about
Church
his.
Sr. You talking about Robert Church Sr. The one.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
back
know
in the
about the
late
Crump thing.
19th
I
century.
heard it was an urban legend, but that's another story. But they did run
No,
the
but
Church family out of
he
Memphis.
did. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
They ran them out of Memphis, the
Crump,
Crump machine.
yeah, the Crump machine. It got
Ran them out of
started
Memphis.
because Robert Church Sr.'s daddy sent this young white lawyer into Memphis in 1906 to save his son's property. That's how it all got started. So Tennessee is exempt from the enforcement provisions of the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, because it never deprived black folk of the right to vote. Now, maybe that's what's wrong with Tennessee politics when it comes to black folk. You don't rinse your water till your well runs dry. Ours never ran dry because Boss Crump made sure black folk could vote. That's how he controlled Tennessee, through the black bloc vote. This whole thing about these crooks we have is because he set up black vote brokers to deliver the black vote. And that's been going on for 80, 90 years. Well, more than 100. But you see, that's one of the problems with Tennessee. Typically, when black folk get the opportunity to get control of an area that is critical to future development, like Mason, Tennessee, you don't have this savvy black political structure, which is a good thing because you can set one up free from the corruption. Brownsville, I told you about a situation I had. Well, I didn't. It's an interesting thing. Got hired by this family to represent this beautiful 16-year-old girl, now well grown. Her grandfather left her 80,000 acres of agricultural land. This group of people had their lease expire almost 30 some years before, and they were leasing 80,000 acres of land for $200.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we opposed that. We had Tom Burrell, who was a black corporate farmer. This is way back in the early 80s. And these characters went into Chancery Court in Brownsville and got an ex parte permanent injunction. So I went there with what was necessary, got the injunction dissolved, had an order signed, and when we went to 5,000 or 6,000 acre parcel of this girl's land, we found that the people who were trying to use it had pushed boulders over on the road, cut down trees. So Tom Burrell got his equipment in there, and we had bulldozers and tractors moving the stuff off. We went there, and when the sheriff got there after he got a call, I had a 45 in one hand and the 357 in the other. And when he got there, he said, "Lord have mercy, everybody put your muzzles down. Lower them guns. Jesus Christ, what's going on?" Sheriff so-and-so, you will see on the hood of that pickup, there's a briefcase. It's open. If you open it, sir, you will find a signed order by Chancellor so-and-so. These people are trespassing. Ready? Jesus Christ, Tommy, y'all trespassing on these folk land. You better get off before I got to run you in, put them muzzles down. It used to be like that. And matter of fact, I got an apology from the chancellor because he used to be the Mount Brownsville mayor at one time. And my mother had been the first executive employee hired under Works Progress Administration before World War II. And she was supposed to be working in an office out of the city hall. He refused to allow it back then in order that they fix up a corner of a barn nearby. So when I told him about it, he remembered it. He wrote a handwritten letter of apology, which my mother appreciated, all these years after. But I mean, that's the reality. Excuse me. So you have to deal with the politics. Information is the key. A lot of stuff that these people are doing cannot be brought to the light of day. So please, Madam Deputy Mayor, Ms. Rivers, get your people to go research through the election commission who's been getting contributions. Go find out, which should be published with various state agencies, who's got a financial interest, who has applied for zoning variances. See, you've got agricultural land, and Mason is going to be the governmental entity, the sovereign entity that will determine whether or not there's zoning variances to switch something over into industrial, residential, etc., from agricultural.
Ms. Rivers, I was also that I know I won't keep you long because the weather and all that. I know you got to get out of here, but you have any closing thoughts and words? And also, I'm going to share the GoFundMe fundraiser site where people could give directly to you all to help pay off some of the costs that y'all have accrued according to y'all debt. So go ahead, Ms. Rivers.
Well, we appreciate it if anybody do donate toward the town. But I do want to say this is that we're going to stand, we're going to fight until the end. And I just believe we're going to come out victoriously. I thank Judge Brown for the information that he shared today, some well-known information that he had to share also, and for his insight on different things. And I also want to say that I know he said don't trust the NAACP, but so far they have been proving, the one that we've been dealing with has been proving to try to help us, because she was the main one, Miss Gloria Sweetlove, that stood up when we had the meeting and tell us, don't give up your charter. Don't give up your charter, because if you give up your charter, you give up everything. She said that in our meeting on March the 10th. When she came down to the meeting and told the whole town, to everybody that was there, don't give it up. Stand on keep your charter and stand up for what you know is right in your town. And so far, she's been really doing, helping us along the way.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Individual members of the NAACP may be on your side. Working with someone is not the same as trusting someone.
Well, yes, sir.
See, you see pictures of FDR, Churchill, and Joe Stalin sitting against each other, smiling in each other's faces. But I assure you, Great Britain didn't trust the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union didn't trust the United States, and the USA didn't trust the USSR. So you can have alliances. We don't trust anybody, because I tell you one thing you're going to find out. Somebody's going to come at you from the NAACP or elsewhere, not necessarily the woman that's working with you now, and they're going to want to know, are you going to put up some rainbow flags? Like, what the hell does that have to do with the situation? You know what I'm talking about, Brother Ron.
Oh, yeah. The alphabet mafia is real.
Yeah, you're going to wind up, what is the town going to do if we back you about promoting the rainbow situation? Forget the black thing. We've got Democrats on the Central Committee here in Shelby County talking about the number one problem, not black and white. It's not black education, not black economics, not black employment, not black relations with the police department. It is the alphabet problem. So just be careful.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Keep
Vice
eyes
Mayor.
open.
Yeah. Thank you, Vice Mayor Rivers. I want to connect you all offline as well. It's okay to exchange contact.
Yeah,
information.
give them my number. Just send
Okay.
me something, Ms. Rivers. Text who you are so I can put it in my contacts so my phone won't block you, which it
Oh.
tends to do when it doesn't know you. We can talk offline, and I'll tell you some more stuff that, you know, I don't want to get Brother Ron Hurd in trouble here because
I'm
they
already
are
in trouble.
very, yeah, they are very repressive and Nazi-like when it comes to YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I have never seen anything like it in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
This is just absolute repression. And by the way, don't get too happy when the NAACP comes to you for support for the so-called Emmett Till anti-lynch bill. I've analyzed the whole thing, and the whole fuss is about two words: sexual orientation. For the first time in American law, they made discrimination based on sexual orientation against the law. It's sex, race, color, national origin, religion, age, and medical condition. So they changed it to race, national origin, religion, and sexual orientation. Now, where that comes into play is this: the NAACP is pushing that poisonous act. They're going to want you to do it too. But women have fought long and hard because, like, it's unfair for the majority of the people that hold certain high-paying jobs to be male. It should be 50-50, men and women, right? Sounds fair. Okay, so you have 50% of the holders of this job being men, and then 50% holding women, but 25%, 30% are actually males that just claim to be women. So you see, when you have that language put in, you can get women right back behind the 8 ball, where males hold the overwhelming majority of certain categories of jobs because some of them claim to be women. You see how that goes?
Yeah, Joe, I want to get it out of here, though. I mean, I know it's the weather.
I know, but I'm just saying, I want you to think about these things because they are part of today's landscape when we're dealing with politics. So I've already heard from some of my sources that the alphabet bunch is coming after Mason to see if in return for their support, they can make this their Mecca, not Mecca for black folk.
Well, that's breaking news, I guess. But
now, just be ready for that. I mean, it's kind of like, what? What in the hell are you talking about? But I know you have to go. It's raining out there, and it's really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird.
You're probably going to have a tornado watch going on for West Tennessee and another few I expected.
Well, they said the wind's supposed to get up to 60 miles per hour, Judge. Is that a tornado or a windstorm? What is that? Is it strange? I think they're manipulating the weather, but that's another topic.
No, I don't think they know how to manipulate weather. I think what it is this 15 years ago, they were predicting this as a consequence of global warming, but you know, that's supposed to not be happening, but it is what it is. Also, there's another thing too. They want to run a pipeline through where Mason is. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I heard
they want y'all water and land, so
they want it all.
They want it all. They greedy. Yeah, they don't want to share either.
Jesus Christ,
they just don't want any black people in leadership to be able to enjoy the benefits of the money that's coming through.
Yeah. And you know, and Jason
Jesus Christ, Thomas, them niggers don't know what to do with what they sitting on. We need to take that so we can do something with it there. You know, we got us a parcel of color that'll be glad to hump for some treats. All we got to do is give them some bacon bits and they do whatever we want.
I saw read Jason Mumpower. He reminded me of a supervillain like Lex Luthor or something like that from Superman, the Lex guy. But he said he's a comic book fan. He got like over 36,000 comic books in his private collection, and his favorite superhero is Spider-Man, allegedly. But he's a supervillain in this story. I don't know. But anyway, I ain't gonna hold you, Vice Mayor Virginia Rivers. Thank you so much. We love you madly. In the words of the great Duke Ellington, you keep on producing and pushing. I'm definitely gonna get you in touch with the judge again, so y'all can talk offline.
I'm gonna do what I can to help you out. I don't practice law anymore, otherwise I jump in there. My law license is in a medical disability status. I'm getting old, and that protects me from all of these jealous clowns that want to complain, which they do 4 or 5 times a month, about I did something that I'm not supposed to do, but as a private citizen not practicing, to hell with them, I can do it. And I don't fear anybody, so I will talk for you. I'll badmouth the individuals.
There you go.
I
You
like
got an
that.
ally. Thank you so much, Virginia Miss Rivers. We love
Thank
you
you.
madly.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Thank
an
you,
honor.
Judge.
You be safe
All
out
right.
there.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Yeah, where I think you are on the screen is not where you are. Okay. All right. I'm out of
All right.
here.
No,
High Fine got to go. This has been. Oh, you want me to stay on?
I want you to stay. Yeah. Oh, I gotta
I'll
talk. I gotta talk about some. Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that Django review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.